Tahar, I guess I still owe you an explanation, don't I? About that bandit in Farland's Hope.
Do you?
I do. First off, I appreciate that you didn't stop me. It was what most reasonable people would have done, I guess.
He deserved it.
Yeah, he did. About 5 years ago, something happened. I was on the road and the sun had just started to set, and I was closing in on the village where I had planned to spend the night. It was a beautiful day, really. The sky was clear, the stars were coming out, and the crickets were chirping. Just 1 mile before the village gates, I saw a woman and her son. Or at least I thought he was. And they were surrounded by 2 men and a woman, who were pushing her around, tearing her clothes off. She was weeping, begging them for mercy, and her son, who probably didn't realize what was happening, was holding her leg and crying. That woman's screams were horrible. What I remember even more was the crying of that poor boy. They were the tears of a soul who, up to that point, had still thought life was all about beauty, about love, and who had now awoken to reality. Long story short, I didn't help. I just stood there, watching it all through the thickets, like some grotesque play. When they were done, they kicked the woman into a pit on the roadside and took the boy with them.
Why didn't you help?
I've been asking myself the same thing ever since. In the end, I think it was plain cowardice. Then again, if life taught me something, then it's that only in the books that people make the right calls when push comes to shove. Sure, there are exceptions, but most of us just stand by and watch.
And that was why you tortured that bandit?
I guess. That woman the bandit in Farland's Hope killed. I don't know, but something about her reminded me of that summer night. And yeah, I know, it was a stupid thing to do. Stupid and above all, pointless. Making that bandit suffer didn't help anyone. Neither the woman he had tortured to death, nor the one on the road, or her little boy. I just couldn't help it. It was as if some dark part of my mind had taken over.
Maybe it was your way of atoning for not helping that woman.
Atoning? Such a big word. I don't know. Either way, anything else you need? If not, I'd like to have some time on my own. There's a lot that's been going through my mind lately. Corporal? Need anything?
Tell me about your time on the road. What was it like?
Is that a command, Corporal?
Please?
All right, but I'm afraid there isn't so much to tell. Have you ever been on the road by yourself?
A long time ago. Yeah.
Well, then you know how wearisome it can get. Sleeping under the stars sounds romantic at first, until you realize that most of the time it's sleeping in the mud, in drizzle. Most of the time, your stomach and your purse are empty, and your feet are full of blisters. And, of course, there's the constant danger. Especially if you're traveling on your own.
Did you ever have a companion?
Some, yeah, but most of it was just temporary. Though there was one I traveled with for longer. Quentin.
How did you meet?
Coincidence. A small town between Finn and Mir and Lar. We played dice together and he cheated. When I called him out on it, he tried to turn tail. But one of the other guests stopped him for me. They wanted to go give him a beating, but I told them to stop. He gave me back my money and we started talking. And, believe it or not, we found that we got along quite well.
So you started traveling together? With a thief?
I wouldn't call him that. He was just young and careless. We ended up traveling for almost a year.
I see. What was your relationship?
You mean... No, we were just friends. He was way too young for my liking, and I think I was too old for him. We were more like sister and brother.
What was his story? Where was he headed?
Into the blue, same as me. He had quite an interesting task, but I wouldn't feel comfortable sharing it with you, to be honest. He wouldn't want that.
Huh. So how did you split up? What happened?
Nothing dramatic. We came by a village and decided to rest there for a while. The roads had become quite dangerous due to the mage wars, and we didn't want to go out unprepared. I did some healing for the villagers, and he helped out the local smith. He liked it, and the smith wanted him as an apprentice, so he stayed. I was surprised and a bit hurt at first, But then I realized it was probably for the better. I still think of him sometimes, though.
And how did you make a living?
That was the easiest part. I healed people.
With light magic?
Yes and no. It was my magic that mended the wounds, but since mages are often met with suspicion, how shall I say, got a little creative. Frankly put, whenever I treated someone, I gave him a magical potion to drink, which was just water mixed with some harmless herb to give it color. The rest was laying on hands to help the potion's effect, which was pure light magic and how I did the actual healing.
And that worked?
Better than you'd think. People were fighting over my panacea as if I was Ellen incarnate, while cursing the evil defilers who had caused this war. Ironic, isn't it?
Do you miss it sometimes? The vagabond life?
Well, we're still vagabonds somehow, aren't we? But I know what you mean. And yeah, I sometimes do. The wind on my skin, the vastness of the wildlands, and the fact that all you have to think about is the mile ahead of you. It's another world. There was this one night I'll never forget. I had made a camp at a clearing, set up campfire, and I was leaning against a tree, slowly drifting toward sleep. Then, all of a sudden, it started to rain. Not just the usual drizzle, it was bucketing down, drowning everything, the earth, the noise, the plants around me. My first impulse was to jump up, to find shelter, get my things into the dry. But I didn't. Instead, I saw. I don't know how else to put it. All of a sudden, there was this deep sense of peace, as if all my life I had been chasing something without knowing it myself. And in that moment had found it. So I just watched. I sat there and I watched. That feeling lasted until the sun came up. And then I fell asleep. When I woke up, it was gone.
That sounds beautiful.
And a bit dramatic. But yeah, it was beautiful. I've never felt something like that again.
And what do you make of it now?
Truth be told, I don't know. But it changed something. Even though I cannot say what it is.
Tell me about your time on the road. What was it like?
Is that a command, Corporal?
Never mind.
All right.
Goodbye.